In this video you will learn a simple management framework for e-com founders. If your team is not doing what you want, it comes down to one of three reasons. They don't know what you want them to do, they don't know how to do it, or they are simply not motivated. And your job as a CEO is to communicate, train, and motivate. Every problem falls into one of these three buckets. Let's start with the first one. If your employees don't know what you want them to do, if your expectations are not clear, your team can't meet them. For example, I asked one of my employees at 11 a.m. what our ROI was on Amazon, and he didn't know. Why? I never made it clear that checking the ROI should be the first thing that he does every morning. So, in order to fix that, I need to be obsessively clear, then repeat it and write it down. This is exactly how I solved this specific issue, creating a specific checklist in which I communicate expectations, I repeat them consistently. Yes, you have to repeat your expectations consistently since your employees forget, and you have to document everything in writing. And as a pro tip, if you ask about a metric daily, your team will treat it as a priority. So if you're working with a media buyer, as a freelancer or an agency, if you are asking about your ROI every single day, I guarantee you that this specific freelancer or agency will pay more attention and you will get better results simply by you being on top of it. So make sure that your employees, freelancers, and agencies know what you want them to do. The second reason is they don't know how to do it. Training is not optional, it's your responsibility. What you need to do is create step-by-step written SOPs, add video tutorials when possible, and clarify how and when to communicate with you and your team. Complexity is not the goal. True mastery is doing the basics exceptionally well. So how can you teach something you don't know how to do? It's a tough one. And for example, I wanted to build our creative team, but I have never been a creative director. So what I did is I found a creative director from a creative agency that works exclusively with e-commerce brands only. And I paid her what she wanted, and she put together all of our SOPs, trainings, and systems. So if you want to create a training on how to do Google Ads, for example, and you don't know how to do it, you just need to find the best person in your niche that can agree on creating the training systems and KPIs for you. And keep in mind that you have to pay a premium, it won't be cheap. Because obviously, if you have the skill, then you can make the documentation and the training yourself. But it's significantly harder for you to do that if you don't have the skill in-house or if you don't have it in you. So basically, you have to outsource that specific part, and it can work very well. Just keep in mind that you have to spend a little bit more time to find the right person to do it. So when I started looking for a creative director that can put all of this together for me in terms of training, KPIs, and so on, it took me a month just to find the right person. I found like 5 people that I believed that they can help me. And with these 5 people, only 2 of them had a genuine interest to help me, because the other 3 people were busy with their projects and so on. So it's not like you find one person and this person will automatically agree on your terms and do it. So you have to keep that in mind. And the third reason why employees are not doing what you want them to do is simply because they are not motivated. Because sometimes they know what to do, they know how to do it, but they're just not doing it. And you need to ask yourself, did I clearly communicate expectations? Do they know how to execute this specific task? Or are they prioritizing other tasks? Or simply the employee is not motivated and doesn't care? So you have to clearly identify if the reason is motivation or they simply didn't manage their schedule right. So always critique the behavior, not the person. And you can use the following script. Hey, we missed the weekly report. Can you help me understand what happened? Was it not communicated clearly, or you didn't know how to do it, or you didn't have the time to do it, or you're just not motivated at all? First, you have to find and isolate the issue, then you can solve it. So if it's not a training or communication issue, and you already had this conversation before, There is only one conclusion left. It's a motivation problem. If the employee knows what to do and how to do it, and you have assigned that specific task in their schedule, and they still don't do the task, then it might be the time to let them go. Because at the end of the day, you can't force people to do things. They have to understand why. But if they understand why and they're still not doing it, you have no other choices. So always explain to your team why they're doing something. What is the purpose of that thing? For example, one of my account managers recently asked me, why are we sending weekly reports in Slack when the client already has all the data in our data tracking dashboard? It's a great question. And my answer is, because the message tells the client we've seen the numbers, we have a plan, and we're proactively working to increase their revenue and profit. And this is why we're sending the weekly report on Monday. So as a final tip, create a weekly work schedule for your team and make sure that you write down the most important tasks for you. Set a clear schedule for everyone in your organization and make recurring expectations part of the work week. Eliminate confusion, increase accountability, and make your life easier. And if you use this simple management framework, your team will be more effective and you will be able to execute tasks faster. And at the end of the day, if you are able to execute more tasks, you will scale your brand much faster.